Let's talk about something that's hitting pretty much everyone in Ireland right now, the price of fuel. What started out as a bit of a grimace at the pump has really spiraled into a full-blown crisis. For so many, the cost of just getting to work or getting anything done is becoming impossible. So we're going to break down how we got to this point, who it's hitting the hardest, and what it all really means.
I mean, that really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? It's that feeling, watching the numbers on the pump just climb and climb, knowing you've got no other choice but to pay it. It's become this shared national headache.
And let's be absolutely clear, for the vast majority of people, this has nothing to do with luxury cars or fancy trips. This is about the daily grind. It's the commute to work, it's the delivery truck keeping our shops stocked, it's the tractor out in the field. Driving is literally the engine of our entire working economy.
So, how on earth did it get this bad? Well, to really understand the price you're paying at a station in Dublin or Donegal, you've got to look thousands of miles away. Believe it or not, the root of this crisis started way beyond our shores.
Okay, take a look at this. This is the Strait of Hormuz. It's a tiny, tiny bottleneck on the world map, but a massive chunk of the world's daily oil supply has to squeeze through it. So any little bit of trouble there doesn't just cause a small ripple, it sends a giant tidal wave across global markets. And Ireland? We're standing right in its path.
And this right here explains why we're so vulnerable. In economic terms, Ireland is what's known as a price taker. It's a simple concept, really. We don't set the global price of oil, we just have to pay it. So when the international market goes crazy, we don't get to negotiate a better deal. We just have to absorb the hit.
All right, so let's bring it back home. How does that global shockwave actually turn into a crisis on Irish soil? Now, we're going to trace that ripple effect and see who really, truly ends up paying the price for all this.
So it all starts with the everyday commuter, right? The person just trying to get to their job. Suddenly, their weekly fuel bill is a massive household expense, right up there with the rent or the grocery shop. But it doesn't stop there. Then it hits the haulier, the backbone of our supply chain. Their profit margins just vanish. And then it hits the farmer. Their costs go through the roof, which means the price of the food they produce goes up. So that extra cost at the pump, it ends up on your receipt at the supermarket.
And there's this big knock-on effect too. Think about it. When you're spending way more just to keep your car running, you're spending less everywhere else. That means fewer trips to the local pub, maybe putting off buying something from a local shop. When millions of us all tighten our belts at the same time, the whole economy starts to feel the squeeze.
There's only so much pressure people can take before something gives. And that is exactly what we've started to see. All across the country, that quiet frustration has finally boiled over into loud public action.
And these aren't just random gatherings. These protests are organized, and they're strategic. We're talking about key roads being blocked during rush hour, major ports being disrupted, slow-moving convoys of trucks grinding traffic to a halt. The tactics are different, but the message is incredibly clear and unified. This can't go on. And let's be really clear about this. This isn't just random chaos or people letting off steam. This is a coordinated response from the very people who keep our economy moving. The hauliers, the farmers, the couriers, the construction workers, who all feel like they're being pushed right to the very brink.
So, all of this leads to the massive million-dollar question for our leaders. What can you actually do about it? Because, it's one thing to say prices are too high, it's another thing entirely to find a real solution that actually works.
And this slide really breaks down the massive dilemma they're facing. Okay, on one side, you've got short-term relief. You could cut fuel taxes. That would help people immediately, for sure. But that blows a giant hole in the country's finances. Then on the other side, you have the long-term strategy. Go all in on renewables, on public transport. That's obviously the real, lasting solution, but it takes years, and people are hurting right now.
And beyond all the economic gymnastics, there's this huge, crucial question of fairness. Because this crisis does not hit everyone in the same way, not even close. And that's where a lot of the real anger is coming from.
Wow, this chart, it basically tells the whole story in 2 bars. If you live in a city, you've probably got some options. A bus, a train. But if you're in rural Ireland, for a huge number of people, those alternatives just don't exist. Driving isn't a choice, it is the only option. So you can see who's carrying the heaviest burden here.
And this quote just captures it perfectly. It's not only about the money draining from your bank account, it's that awful feeling of being completely trapped, of being squeezed with absolutely no other way out.
So where do we go from here? Well, in the immediate future, I'm sorry to say it's likely more of the same. Prices are going to be all over the place. Medium term, though, all this public pressure might just force some kind of targeted help for the workers and industries hit the hardest. But the real story, the long-term one, this crisis is becoming a massive turning point. It's forcing a national conversation that is long overdue about how deeply we rely on fossil fuels.
But, talking about the future and transitions, that's cold comfort for someone standing at the pump today, trying to figure out if they can afford a full tank. Right now, people are dealing with the harsh reality of the present, doing the mental math and just trying to make it all work.
Which leaves all of us with the one powerful question that's on everybody's mind. For the person just trying to get to their job, for the family trying to balance the weekly budget, how much longer can this actually go on? That's not a theoretical question. It's real, it's urgent, and it's getting harder and harder to ignore.